the capability of automating scale out, but it requires a mindset shift, both from within business and from within IT. And that mindset shift has to be done in a way that says, okay, I have to consider the components I'm going to move, how to protect them, how to make them resilient, understand what the requirements are, and then move the ones that are appropriate. Take advantage of that cloud architecture, but maintain, what is critical, what you cannot move, what has to be protected on premise within your own control. And the final answer for that is think about who is operating your environment. So I'll share an example, an oil and gas example. An oil company that recently outsourced their internal IT operations to an Indian company. Will remain anonymous. It's no fault through the Indian outsourcer, but they performed maintenance operations on some IT systems that happened to control a huge gas production platform. And if it hadn't been for some on-site employees at this gas plant that actually managed to stop what was going on, this entire plant would have blown up, killing thousands of people, and of course injuring the business both from a reputation as from a cost perspective. So when you outsource or when you give out control, whether it's to a cloud or to an outsourcer, understand the impact that you're actually giving away. It's not just about cost savings. Cost is a huge driver in IT, but it is also about risk and time to market. So that would be my
Doctor, one more question to you. You handle a lot of investments and across your entire hospital chain. How do you decide to prioritize what goes where? Let's say you were in 2016, for example, January 2016. How would you, as a chairperson, decide to prioritize your investments across the various departments?
You see, our working with, we know by our patients what type of patient we get, and we prioritize what is the need of the people, and then we start increasing our productivity. We say that this equipment is not, we have to and what is the feasibility, what is the, and then from Sharjah small hospital, I thought that we could go to Dubai. So we invested in that. And we kept on increasing. Now we are thinking that people have to have cancer treatment. So we are making a cancer hospital. So it depends upon what is our vision, you see, what we get the information from the patients and how we can do it. For instance, we get an accreditation program from America. So that is better because we know what we are doing with the patient's health. And that makes us go further. Every time we find a new thing, we study we do the feasibility, we study it, and then we go for that. If we do not increase our potential, if we do not see what the patients need and how to do it, we have to make a feasibility study. And that, according to that, we go. Now we have found that in India there is no cancer hospital in whole of Maharashtra. So many million people. And we saw there is just take for a hospital, multidisciplinary hospital as ours, which is not in India. The healthcare system in India is suffering a lot because it doesn't have the reputation and it doesn't serve the people. And there is no cancer treatment, no linear, no radiation. Everyone has to travel to the metro. So we thought that we could take that we can do a better job. And then you see, we can get a lot of training personnel for us. So we go for training programs, so that whosoever is better trained, we employ them. And that is our vision of doing more for the people, for the healthcare. You see, we thought that we should keep on increasing our potentials. Now there is a big demand for organ transplant, which is not done in India, very anyway. So we try to venture on that, do the feasibility study, do a lot of research, do all this, learn the technology from America. The Americans, they are ready to come and teach us. So we want to go further with that. And research. Research is one, which I have my son, who is a director professor at the University of California in San Francisco. And he has invented some of the things. So we will try to do that. His colleagues, they want to come here and give us a better, this thing was the healthcare teaching program. Teaching program is one thing we should learn. We want to make this as a teaching center.
Thank you. I can see Thomas smiling when she said teaching center. So, this is very good. Thank you very much. And thank you for opening a hospital in India. I know this and I say this, but it's very close to my heart. I am associated with we were sharing some good notes before the panel, associated with the cancer NGO in India. And I know exactly what Dr. means when he says medical facilities are not available, especially for people from the lower strata of society. They struggle for basic treatment. So thank you very much, Dr. Amsari. Thomas, what keeps you awake at night? Or it hasn't started keeping you awake yet?
No. There's plenty that does. In education, it's very simple to me, and it deals directly with technology as well, is that we have a consumer educational system when we need to have a creation educational system, creation-based. And it's a lot easier said than done, but it is one of the single largest, if you want to call it, epidemics facing us as a world and as a future. Mickey McManus wrote a great book called Trillions. And in the book, he uses some analogies of mountains, that all of Google, all of Amazon, all that we see now was really one big peak. And as we got to that peak, we looked over, and there are trillions of peaks. And if we think of our kids, if we think about education in general, they're going to be traversing those peaks. And so if we want to call those peaks the Internet of Things, when we think about what we're actually doing in most schools today, and I teach and design some of the most innovative schools in the world, we're just starting to scrape the surface of what it's actually going to take, not only to understand the networks and the things and the connectivity of the Internet, but more importantly, give them the experience necessary, the actual experience to do all the processes of design, failure, and iteration that they're going to need to do in life on a daily basis. And so, at Nations Academy right now, one of the newest American schools in Dubai, we do more than an hour of code, a month or a year. We do hours of code a day, and then situated within literacies across interdisciplinary subject matters. And they're geared towards actually teaching kids how to program things, understand things. And so that starts in KG1. It goes right now to the 8th grade for us. By the time they're in the 8th grade, they're actually using robotics to solve problems versus just reiterate some sort of direction cycle that a teacher may have told them. And so I think that what keeps me awake is that in education we have virtually no entrepreneurial thinking. And so we heard about what it takes to be an entrepreneur, what it takes to be a startup, when you've maybe graduated even your bachelor's degree. But our kids are going to need entrepreneurial thinking from the youngest of ages. And right now our education system tamps that out. And it's not until they're actually out of school and they're in programs like we've heard at Sharjah that they can actually open up and say, I had this amazing idea, or this was my passion. And so I think we need schools that start that as early as possible.
Okay, thank you. Shardul, have you deal with a lot of clients across the region. Have you had any clients actually come to you and say, we want to build a scalable infrastructure, or do you generally have requests that say, no, give us something in $100 and what kind of requests do you normally get? And if you have got something where a client spoke about something scalable, and be truthful.
So always customer want to aim high with lowest price, and he mentioned truthfully that sometimes the value of the data you might be losing, will it worth really the investments that you are doing, or how much you're saving the cost instead of spending it? And whenever we're sitting a lot of C-level people in the region here and trying to understand their visions, and obviously everyone is aiming to reduce the cost of their infrastructure by adopting the cloud furthermore and going to the cloud, and they forget really how to move to the cloud, which is the most interesting part of it. So shifting the data once to the cloud is fine, but accessing it is the worst thing you can do, and how to keep it protected and how to gain that visibility on it. So this is the concern whenever cloud adoption is moving. We forget about how we're going to make it really accessible. In a sense that the purpose of the cloud is not simply to still access your data only from your own office, it's access from everywhere. And this is where the trend is coming in. So you're going to see people everywhere accessing information, and this is where globalization will happen, and this is how we can be able to grow as an organization from coverage perspective. So they always try to tend to move to that, but they forget the mean of growing it. And currently today, how infrastructure are being built from telco service provider is not going to really help the cloud adoption, because going to the cloud will require start using internet connectivity. And again, teaching these people and students from their early ages to start developing application. Let you think about one very important stuff is that everything is going to be built around application. And today applications infrastructure are much more advanced than networking infrastructure. You can spin application in seconds, but networks you cannot. And that's why software-defined networking is what should be the next future and the next generation. It's going to allow you to start using cheap accessibility internet connections to go to the cloud, get your data, and at the same time scale to create a software-defined environment or software-defined everything environment, which is going to help them reduce the cost of the infrastructure as a whole. But definitely, the amount of the data and the value of the data that you have, you shouldn't be looking only to do it in $100. So as long as your data is important, you have to invest the same way to keep it that important, otherwise it will lose its value.
In the sense you're saying no client wants to invest on scalable and long-term infrastructure.
So they want to always invest on scalable infrastructure, but it has a cost, and that cost is that much as important as your data.
Thank you. Doctor, one last question for you, and actually I need a piece of advice. What would you, most of us here are technology guys, what is the one piece of advice you would give to the technology people, whether it be clients, whether it be people who come and sell you boxes, whether it's people who come and sell you solutions? What's the one piece of advice you would give them from the other side of the table?
Healthcare needs compassion. You have to be very compassionate when you are working with a patient directly. It's not the medicine, it's not the investigation, but you have to be compassionate.
Thank you. That's a great piece of advice. Okay, so we will now, I'm done with my questions. We'll now throw the floor open for questions. And I'm just sitting here for cosmetic value, so but I'll also take any questions.
My question is to Dr. Zulekha. Madam, we are very much inspired by your achievements. We have seen your journey from 1964 coming over here in the Air Force cargo plane, and then coming over here and establishing so many hospitals, a big journey. And we are also aware that you have supervised more than 10,000 deliveries as a gynecologist. Very well done, madam. Now, as you go ahead, what all you want to achieve, and what is the few wisdom to the people over here and the people who are outside this room, what would you like to say to them?
Whatever we do in our life, if you have a goal or this thing, then you have to keep on doing for that if I wanted to be a healthcare worker, I wanted to help people. That was my goal. And I kept on helping them by diverting my energy towards the different aspects of it. I continue to do that as priority, and because more people have got confidence in me, and I have to keep up their confidence, and I keep working more for the help I have. When I look back, that I have helped, and for the helping them, I have started diversifying my spheres and investing more in the healthcare. The more I invest, the more I feel that I should invest in the healthcare for all the people. The health is my main investment. If you start having that goal of helping people, then you start diverting your portfolio to the best of your knowledge. Okay?
First of all, Doctor, honestly, it's an honor to listen to you speak. We handle a lot of healthcare clients, and at the moment, this is a huge, as a publicist that raises awareness of brands and engages with the community, healthcare is really close to our heart from a psychiatry, neurology, or a rehab perspective. I feel like I totally get what you've done, and we really appreciate it. My question is actually for Thomas. Now that I've got your attention. You spoke about the entrepreneur program that you're running. Is that for high schools? I ask this because A, we would love to engage with you through initiatives with Sarah and other speakers that we'll be hosting for the Sharjah Chamber, as well as other clients. And also, it has actually shaped my career. I had an entrepreneurship class that I did in my last year at high school, and my whole career has been shaped based on that, so it works. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing in the Arab world.
So with across GEMS, education in general, entrepreneurial learning is one of the goals of our next 10 years. And Nations Academy, starting with the youngest of learners, has, I've used the term entrepreneurial learning very much from John Seeley Brown's conception. So John Seeley Brown at Deloitte wrote a book called The New Culture of Learning, where he really started to shift this idea of learning to be an entrepreneur versus learning through entrepreneurial methods or ways. And so from the youngest of ages, we're not necessarily teaching young people to be entrepreneurs, but we're trying to allow them to have an entrepreneurial mindset in learning. And so that's a very different shift. We will have a seminar, and definitely happy to talk about a seminar for our middle school. So we launch a year progression, so 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade as we move forward. We're KG 1-8 at this specific school. And so our 8th grade will have an interdisciplinary seminar that does focus on social-based entrepreneurship and technology called Humans and Innovation. And that starts in the second term. And so happy to do that. And then in our high school, we will absolutely have courses that are based in business and entrepreneurship and emerging technologies, specifically nations.
Great. And do you do a lot of internship sort of programs or anything like that?
That's certainly planned for the GCC. Our school in Chicago we put in designs with entrepreneurship or internships starting as early as middle school, and they have been doing that at sort of micro levels of going out into the field, and they'll do that as high school students. But I'm happy also there are great examples, especially in the U.S., schools like the Hawkins School in Cleveland, Ohio, which have some of the most amazing freshman to senior entrepreneurial studies programs that I've seen anywhere. So it's definitely something that's an emerging field, and it'll have a unique flair here.
Thank you.
My name is Kamil Bey, and I'm from Delhi UMC, and I'm very grateful for being here today. Usually when it comes to leadership, healthcare, and education, if you are in that seat, it's not about you anymore, it's about them. So we've heard from Dr. Zulekha about her story, which is very inspiring and amazing. And we've heard from Sarah about I would use her 3 words: activate, incubate, and award, which is a great thing. Today, with GEMS, we do know that there are a few brands within the group where we have different kind of costing education levels, where you believe like it's a message. So when you were promoting something or you're talking about your programs, it's about like the higher end pay, the mid class, or the lower end, or it's the same. How do you deliver that message without in belief of enabling others, not rather than how much they can afford to pay?
And if the distinction wasn't made, those of you who have been in Dubai or UAE for a while, we do have tiered schools. And so for what I'm talking about, really isn't about the fact that Nations Academy has a one-to-one iPad Pro program, right? They do, and they're creating on a daily basis. As interesting to me is that we have a raft of Indian schools that are doing some of the most entrepreneurial learning that I've ever seen. More so than I've seen in the most exclusive independent schools that I've come from in the United States. And they're doing it with Legos, sticks, blocks, whatever they can find. And so it's, I think, more about a mindset in a school. The economies of schools here, I think, are what they are, and I'm relatively new to them. We don't do this in the U.S. as much, but I would say that the opportunity exists within all of our schools, specifically with GEMS education, and it's a goal to have that learning. We have something called the IRD, which is a research and development arm that's based in Wellington, Silicon Oasis. That group actually works across all of our schools and our divisions to make sure they have the best possible experiences and everything to go along. But we have a Carnegie Mellon partnership with the Create Lab, and although Nations is a hub where our kids do have robotics in every single classroom, we train teachers across the divisions, and we make sure that these low-cost, Arduino-based robotics programs can be in all of our schools. And so that's the end goal for sure. Not to say the rest of our group, our foundation will be
Thank you.
And thank you so much, my dear panelists, for taking part in this panel discussion. And now we walk towards our last presentation for the day. For that, I would like to welcome Mr. Sunil Paul, COO and co-founder of Finis Middle East. After this, we'll proceed with the award ceremony for the speakers and the winners. Thank you so much, Sunil. Please take over.
So basically, I represent Finis, and we are a pure services company. We work with a lot of organizations across the GCC as well as over the globe as well. I want to leave only one message, and I think with that I will quickly roll the slide. I called it trailer for tomorrow. Why? Because is that so you will see that in the next coming years. I think very shortly, possibly in the next 2 to 5 years, you will see that everything will be connected with IoT. Every device, everything, every human being, cars, connected cars, everything will be connected. You can see that in a completely connected world. Everything will be on cloud. There will not be any local servers, or there will not be any country where you're going to, any place where you're going to, anywhere. You will have a access number. It's like big data, V001, whatever it is, or a barcode which will actually identify that person, and then your payment details, your transaction details, everything will be get onto it. And with all this big data and all this data which has been produced, with connected devices and all that, analytics will bring in a new dimension of life. Today, if you look at it, if the buyers can, if the sellers will know where the buyer is, if the buyer will know where the seller is, if you look at it in a real world, if you know who has got the idea, for example, from an SME perspective, or if you know, okay, this is what I wanted to do, and this is what you will get there. I think it brings out a totally different dimension altogether. So today, most of us, we spend a lot of time on searching for it or working for it, where we want to do something, but we don't know where it is. This is what with big data will do, and analytics will bring out a whole new world. In fact, after seeing the Hyperloop presentation, possibly I would have added that everything will be Hyperlooped as well. As I said, I'm just quickly run through it. We are a cloud services company. We provide the cloud. We help organizations to move on to their cloud strategy. We end-to-end consulting to implementation. Multiple types of cloud, whether it is private cloud or public cloud or hybrid cloud. We help organizations across on to move on to cloud and mobility. We provide complete mobility device management. So basically, today as organizations send their corporate information across devices, it is very important that it needs to be secured, it needs to be compartmentalized, it needs to have all those securities, and if at all somebody leaves across, somebody comes in across to your network, you wanted to immediately take care of that, or if you wanted to erase the whole data or whatever it is. So that's very important. So we provide an end-to-end mobile devices management solution. I will talk about it over the lunch for people. This covers every case, whether it is any kind of device, any kind of OS, any kind of use cases, and any kind of applications. It covers. We are a VMware AirWatch partner, which is the world's number one leading system. I spoke about every person will have a unique identification number. We provide unified communication. Just for an example, see for example, if you call up a bank, or if you call up an RT, or if you call up any call center for that matter, most of the time, they will, you'll spend a lot of time identifying yourself. You'll ask 3 questions and all that. And then what happens is that most of the time, the first person will not be able to answer for what you are asking for, and then they will transfer the call to somebody else. Again, you will restart it. Maybe if you don't get the proper response, or if the issue doesn't get resolved, you'll again call back after possibly 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, whichever day, and again you restart the whole process. But basically what happens is that we have solutions which identifies wherever you call from, whether it is your landline or mobile number. With that, they will exactly identify, okay, so this is Sarah, and Sarah has called for this specific purpose, and automatically the system takes care of the technology is available. So we provide this one. So basically what happens is that the next time when you call a bank, the bank can actually tell you, okay, Mr. Venkatesh, your call for this, and so your specific transaction is pending, or your whatever discrepancy on a credit card will be identified. So we have technology available, and we make that happen for you. That improves tremendous amount of customer experience. So it's a very, very simple solution available, which is cut across channels. What I mean is that, so if you started a communication, or if you start a conversation on IVR, say for example, next time when you go into mobile, so mobile, you can continue that, or from an internet, you can continue that as well. So it cuts across all the channels, and you will be identified for whatever transaction you have started across all the channels. We do managed services. We take care of the entire organization in terms of service management, asset virtualization. I'll just skip this. We do software licensing and support. Disaster recovery and business continuity planning is something which we do for across. We are a Sanofi partner now. Sanofi has been acquired by IBM, so this is again an IBM product. So we have a large portfolio of infrastructure. We work with large number of clients as well. I will skip this, and I will skip. Basically, we are a 300 people company. We started in UAE. Today we are about out of which I think about 220 of them are in UAE, in the GCC region itself. We have a strong leadership team. These are the industries what we do, and these are the technology services domain. Somebody was asking about the technology side of the applications. So we cover a lot: cloud, mobility, social media, and big data is our focus area. So these are all our partners what we work with, and we have won about 30 international awards for being the best software services company across across the world, and we've been rated as one of the world's top 100 growing companies as well. We started in UAE, by the way, so that's what it is. We have about 200 odd clients. 80% of the banks in UAE are our clients. Large number of government institutions are our clients. In fact, thank you, Madam Dr. Sulega. Sulega Hospital is our esteemed client, and they've been happy. They came with us on the press, and the video is available. Thank you all. Thanks for listening, and I think I'll give it up to finish off the awards. Thank you once again.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who has come here for the forum. Yeah, I know it's a week later, the traffic has been very bad, but thanks to all of you who have been with us since morning. like to say a token of thanks to our esteemed speakers and panelists on board today. And to do the honors, I would like to call upon our MD to please come on the stage, Tushar Sahu, to do the honors.